topic that we'll take up today is on impact of climate change on heat waves. Heat wave is the biggest challenge right now, and and all living species are facing it, and especially we are much worried since last few years. This is growing. That will discuss how climate change has made extreme heat more like in eastern and southern India. It highlights the increasing frequency and severity of the heat waves, their health impact, and the need for better heat action plan and regulation to mitigate these effects. Attribution science studies the impact of climate change on specific weather events. It uses tools and methodology to determine if climate change made an event more or less likely. Scientists have been cautious about linking individual weather event to climate change. However, recent advancements allow for more accurate assessment. For example, the World Weather Attribution Group found that April's extreme heat in eastern and southern India was 45 times more likely due to climate change. This year's extreme heat event, so it is reported because of the climate change. This is the impact. It has increase as an impact of climate change. This is the report. Okay. So, however, recent advancement allow for more accurate assessment. For example, the World Weather Attribution Group found that April's extreme heat in eastern and southern India was 45 times more likely due to climate change. This field is becoming crucial for understanding climate change effect and its special impact on the heat waves. Climate change has increased heat waves. This is the third consecutive year that early summer heat waves in India have been attributed to climate change. For example, Odisha experienced an 18-day heat wave in April, one of its longest ever. Gangetic West Bengal recorded the most heat wave day in 15 years. Eastern India has its warmest April, illustrating the growing impact of climate change on heat waves. So, heat wave not only affect the human but all other living creatures, including plants, and even it has its impact on the food grain production. Concern of heat wave in India: heat wave cause severe health issues like dehydration, cardiovascular and respiratory disease, and sudden death. Data on heat-related illness and death in India is poorly maintained. In 2022, Health Ministry reported that only 33 heat-related deaths, but the NCRB reported 730 deaths, National Crime Record Bureau. The Health Ministry reported 264 heat-related deaths in the first 6 months of 2023, but it is not the accurate one, as the means is much larger than the casualty reported. Early warning and heat action plans have reduced heat-related death, but recent trends show an increase, possibly due to better reporting or more severe heat waves. How has heat wave mitigated? Heat action plan. 23 states in India have a heat action plan to manage heat waves. These plans help reduce the impact of extreme heat on people. Experts emphasize the need for adequate funding for heat action plan to enhance their effectiveness. Public measures: cooled drinking water is provided at public places. Oral rehydration solutions are distributed to prevent dehydration. Park and shaded places are made accessible to offer relief for the heat. These are the steps, short-term steps and immediate steps taken by the government and the public authorities. Regulation of activities: schools and colleges are closed during peak hours to protect students from the heat. Morning schools and colleges at times. Local administration regulate activity in unorganized sector like construction during peak heat hours. So in Odisha, you can take, the government has banned any construction activity during the daytime. In the morning shift, they have advised to do it in the morning. Okay, so after 11, these are strictly prohibited. Then local administration regulate activity in unorganized sector like construction during the peak heat hours. Office timing can be adjusted to avoid the peak heat. Organized outdoor activity including sports are strictly regulated and they are not allowed in the peak hours. Okay, so these are the steps taken in the short term and the long term by the government. Then the next topic is on the that law enforcement issue, Delhi High Court judgment on protecting minor online. The article critic a Delhi High Court's judgment about protecting the minor online. It argued that the court overlooked teenagers' knowledge and role in online safety, misjudged the balance between protection and normal adolescent behavior, and suggested need for better victim support system. Okay, so major outcome of the Delhi High Court judgment about the protecting minor online. Denial of bail. The Delhi High Court denied bail to an accused of drugging, kidnapping, and sexually exploiting a minor, met initially through a social media platform. Educational emphasis on online safety. The judgment stresses the need for minor to be educated about navigating online space safely. It introduced the concept of virtual touch to help them recognize potential dangers, similar to the good touch, bad touch exercise on the physical way. Okay, so touch exercise in the physical way. Assumption of teenagers' online awareness. The code frames teenagers are generally unaware of the risk posed by online interaction. Major criticism of the Delhi High Court judgment about the protecting the minor online. Misjudgment of the teenagers' digital literacy. The court assumes that teenagers are less aware. Okay, less aware of the online risk. It overlook the reality that many teenagers are more digitally proficient than adults and even educate their elders about the technology. This is a misconception. Over reliance on parental guidance. Judgment emphasizes a parent guardian centric approach, neglecting the significant role that peer and siblings play in shaping teenagers' online experience and response to risk. Simplistic framework for complex issues. The introduction of virtual touch in the context of good touch, bad touch is critiqued for oversimplifying the complexity of online interactions and the sophisticated strategy used by the perpetrators. Legal and social implications for adolescents. The application of the POCSO Act, Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act, is criticized for stigmatizing normal adolescent behavior. Okay, it will potentially discourage teenagers from reporting abuse or seeking help, thus perpetuating vulnerability to leading to the exploitation. Prolonged legal proceeding related to online harassment can be excessively prolonged. It contradicts the POCSO Act's recommendation of access to be resolved within a year to ensure swift justice and support for victims. So the next topic is on road safety. India's road fatality. The article highlights the urgent need to mobilize resources for minimizing fatality in road accident in India, because in India road accidents is a major issue and major casualty in the road accident are reported, and it is increasing with each passing year. Okay. Okay. According to the Ministry of Roads Transport and Highway, the number of fatality rose to 1,68,000 in 2022 from about 1,50,000 the previous year. As per World Bank, India loses more than 5% of its GDP to the road accident, and more than 80% of those affected are in the productive age group because youngsters are dying more than the adult. This is a big challenge because road accident kill more people in the productive age group than the dependent age group because they are most mobile in search of work and who are traveling the most. So that is why they lost their life. So for WHO, India had the highest road fatality despite having only 1% of the world's vehicles. Reason for India's high road fatality reports suggest that half of those killed in the accident could not receive appropriate medical assistance in the golden hours. So immediately after the accident, the first few hours is called as the golden hour. If the treatment reaches to the person in that golden hour, his chances of survival get more brighter. But that is not the case, which is the facility is not available normally, so that led to that increasing risk of death. So there are lapses in terms of time taken for evacuation and quality of treatment. Measures that has been introduced to address the road safety. The government has introduced measures such as death penalties and prison sentences for traffic violation under the Motor Vehicle Act and Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. A committee for road safety headed by the retired Supreme Court judge was set up by the government for this purpose. Okay, so way forward, the John Hopkins study concluded that victims taken to hospital by air are more likely to survive than those transported by the roads. Then that needs the air ambulance. Learn from the best global practices in some states in USA. The police have integrated helicopter-based traffic surveillance with medical evacuation procedures with trained pilots and paramedics on standby. A trained team of paramedics should reach the hospital site on conduct a stay and play exercise, tabling victims before transporting them to trauma care units via oil-equipped ambulances. Recipient trauma hospitals with critical care super facilities should be pre-identified and have suitable standing facilities. In India, Madhya Pradesh government has initiated such an emergency service as a pioneering effect in the country. Madhya Pradesh is the first country in India to launch such a pioneering service. Standardizing emergency measures nationwide, the central government should define protocol and standard operating procedure for undertaking such measures in a systematic and coordinated manner across the country. Financial solution, innovative insurance options for accident treatment should be provided as per the financial capability of an individual. Dedicated fund allocation, the government should allocate a small portion of the significant fund that are earmarked for road construction towards addressing the rising number of road fatalities. Reassessing regions, there is a common misconception about bad road being the prominent reason behind road accident. However, improvement in the road quality and length of the expressway and highways have led to higher vehicle speed and reckless driving, contributing to more accidents. It's not the bad road, rather the reckless driving and the casual approach of the driver that led to more accident than bad conditions of the road. Reassessing region, there is a common misconception about bad roads being the prominent reason behind road accident. However, improvement in the road quality and length of expressway and highway have led to higher vehicle speed and reckless contribute to accident. Thus, there is a need to find out correct reasons behind increasing road fatalities in the country. Regulatory standards for AI governance, next topic. The article highlights the significance of adopting innovative approach such as AI regulatory sandbox to strike a balance between fostering AI innovation and ensuring responsible development. This assumes great importance in the backdrop of continued AI application across industries such as the healthcare, finance, etc. Significance of AI regulatory sandbox in artificial intelligence. It allows a controlled environment to test innovations for a limited period under regulatory supervision and with certain restrictions in place. It empowers policymakers to craft well-informed legal and policy response for technology. This will foster innovation and responsible governance. Okay, so it allow a controlled environment to test innovation for a limited period under regulatory supervision and with certain restrictions in place. It empower policymakers to craft well-informed legal and policy responses for technology, which will foster innovation and responsible governance. It promotes transparency and accountability by requiring participants to disclose information about their AI models. This will address the concern about opacity and enable tailored regulations. It encourages mitigation of potential social impact of AI application by mandating risk assessment and safeguards. It guides business researchers and policymakers steering AI development towards sustainable growth. It can position India at the forefront of shaping effective and adaptive regulatory framework for emerging technologies. Steps taken by the countries to regulate the artificial intelligence. The European Union AI Act Article 53 has a provision for a regulatory sandbox to test technology before mainstream deployment. Spain became the first European country to establish the Spanish Agency for Supervision of Artificial Intelligence. There is a comprehensive race to regulate and harness AI potential with initiatives like the European Union AI Act, the US AI Bill of Rights, the UK's National AI Strategy, and China's effort to regulate aspects like negative or generative artificial intelligence. Indian approach in this regulating AI. In India, all financial sector regulators have launched their respective regulatory sandboxes. The Karnataka Innovation Authority Act 2020 and the Telecommunication Act 2023 propose regulatory sandbox for various innovative technology. Some other steps are as follows. Niti Aayog released a discussion paper outlining a national strategy for AI, leading to the establishment of the National AI Portal. Okay. The Minister of Electronic and Information Technology MIT released a report on AI innovation 2023, highlighting India's AI vision through seven working groups. The proposed Digital India Act 2023 also take out regulating AI by creating a separate set of law and regulation. So the regulatory sandbox should be viewed as a progressive step before enacting formal legislation. It's customized to suit India's needs and set the stage for future regulation. Then next topic is on the social impact of defects. The article discusses how trust is crucial for technology adoption. Defects which spreads. Okay, so defect erode trust by creating belief fake content that spread rapidly on social media, causing severe harm. Women and children are frequent targets of defects, facing significant psychological distress. Defect can manipulate evidence, threatening the judiciary and leading a wrongful conviction. They undermine user verification method like facial recognition, critical for service in India. So defects spread misinformation impacting democratic process. The World Economic Forum 2024 risk report highlights misinformation as a crucial global risk. Legal challenges related to deepfake in India. Section 66D, 66E, 67, 67A, and 67B of the IT Act penalize impersonation and obscene material but do not fully address defects. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act could be more effective if it included reputational loss in the definition of the losses. Data fiduciary are required to notify individuals of data breaches but need stricter measures like disabling private media downloads. Rule 4.2 of the 2021 IT guidelines mandates social media to identify an originator of harmful content, but platforms like the WhatsApp and Meta contain this, citing privacy concerns. The Anil Kapoor Simple Life India case highlights privacy and publicity rights violation by the defects. Way forward, social media platform must limit the spread of defect content and crack down on bots amplifying misinformation. So tech developers should incorporate consistent labeling features to identify artificial content as suggested by the Union IT Ministry advisory. implement mandatory users verification for content creation, to establish accountability, provide clear legal path and psychological support for defect victims, criminalize the creation of non-concessional defect like the proposed UK law, invest in media literacy efforts and promote responsible digital citizenship to help individuals critically evaluate online content and identify defects. Then the next topic is the solar storm. Recently, powerful solar storm struck earthquake, struck the earth, creating a vivid display of colors in the sky of the northern hemisphere. Solar flares are intense storms of plasma that occur on the sun's surface, releasing a surge of charged particles into the space. This phenomenon generates a solar wind that carries a magnetic field across the space. Earth defense mechanism to solar flare. Earth is sealed by its own magnetic field, known as the magnetosphere. It is the outermost layer of the atmosphere. This shield helps to block most of the solar flares, which are bursts of energy and particles that come from the sun. However, when really stronger solar flares happen, they can sometimes get through this field. So, strong flares introduce charged particles into the lower atmosphere, leading to natural phenomena like the aurora borealis and the disrupting electronic system. Impact on technology. Okay, so these flares can also severely affect power grids by overwhelming their protective measures, leading to potential destruction due to unpredictable magnitude of the flares. Solar activity can heat up the Earth's atmosphere, affecting satellites' trajectory and operational integrity. Strong solar storm have the potential to disrupt power system, communication network, and navigation service, which are essential for modern society to function. Futuristic and predictive measures. The sun's evolving nature suggests that solar storm could intensify in the future, increasing risks of our satellite-based radio and electrical infrastructure. Enhanced global monitoring and predictive capability via solar observatory could mitigate some risk by allowing timely intervention. Innovation in AI and potential shielding technology are being explored to improve defenses against these cosmic threats. Why is the sun currently so peak? The sun experiences an 11-year cycle called the solar cycle, characterized by alternating periods of increase and decreased solar activity. The peak of this cycle, known as the solar maximum, is marked by a higher frequency of sunspots and solar storm. During this phase, the sun's magnetic field becomes more tangled and chaotic, leading to more intense solar activity. The next topic is a prelim topic, high energy photon source. China is said to become the first country in Asia with a fourth generation synchrotron light source with the combination of the high energy photon source. This advanced facility will produce some of the world's brightest X-rays, significantly enhancing research capability across various scientific fields. The HEPS will accelerate electrons to 6 giga electron volt, enabling high resolution imaging at nanometer scale and facilitating rapid experiments. About the HEPS high energy photon source. So HEPS is recognized as the brightest synchrotron X-ray source in Asia. Technology use. Synchrotrons are use electricity to generate intense beam of light over a million times brighter than the sun. They utilize a multi-band catchment lattice, a complex array of magnets, to produce narrow and brighter X-ray beams. India previously developed its own synchrotron, the Indus one. India is an associate member of the European Synchrotron Radiation Facility in that Grenoble in France. India is an associate member of the European Synchrotron Radiation Facility (ESRF) in the Grenoble in France. Next topic is concentration of carbon dioxide and the killing crop. In March 2024, the monthly average concentration of carbon dioxide at the known now that Mauna Loss Observatory spiked by 4.7 parts per million compared to March 2023, making the largest year over the year gain ever recorded. This surge, attributed to ongoing global fossil fuel consumption, surpassed the previous record set during the 2015-16 El Nino. The acceleration in G2 growth, exacerbated by El Nino events, intensifies the atmosphere's heat trapping ability and contributes to ocean acidification. About the Kelvin curve, the Kelvin curve is a record of atmospheric carbon dioxide, a concentration measured at that Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii. It was initiated by the scientist Charles David Kelling in 1958. The National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration is a Washington-based organization, scientific and regulatory agency within the United States Department of Commerce and United States Federal Government Department. Then India International Bullion Exchange (IIBX). The State Bank of India has become the first bank to be a trading clearing member of the India International Bullion Exchange. This credit go to State Bank, the bankers, the biggest banker of India. So this allows SBI branch and Gift City to conduct and settle trade on the IBBX platform on behalf of its client. According to the RBI guideline, Indian bank branches and Gift International Financial Tech City can act as trading and clearing members of IIBX, and specialized category clients can import gold through the IIBX. About India International Bullion Exchange, the IIBX is located in the Gift City, Gujarat, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. The Gift City is a planned business district aimed to becoming a global financial and IT service hub. The primary objective of this IIBX is to create a global recognition billion building platform. It aims to bring transparency, standardization, and cost efficiency to the bullion market, benefiting various stakeholders, including miners, importers, bankers, and the jewelers. Then the next topic, the xenotransplantation. Recently, the first person to receive a transplantation of the genetically modified pig kidney through the xenotransplantation passed away approximately 2 months after the procedure. Xenotransplantation, it involves using animal cell, tissue, or organs to treat human medical conditions. History and need for xenotransplantation. The first attempt to use animal heads in human transplants happened in 1980s. There is a big shortage of human organ which were needed for transplant. This led to doctor to look at animal organ as an alternative to the human organ for transplantation. That xenotransplantation process, animal organ like a pig kidney are genetically altered to prevent the human body from rejecting it. This involves removing certain animal gene and adding human one to make the organ more compatible. After the transplant, continuous monitoring is required to see how the baby react to the newborn. of the body reacts. Risk and complications. Infection risk. There is a risk of transmitting infection from the animal to the human recipient. This can affect not only the individual but potentially spread to others. Long-term health risk. There is also a concern about retroviruses, which are viruses that could remain dormant and cause disease after years of treatment. They are called the retroviruses. Why are pig commonly used in the xenotransplantation? Similar body structure as human. Pigs are often chosen because their body structure and function are similar to human. Pigs are easy and most effective to breed. Then comes the enhanced possibility of the organ size matching. Different pig breeds offer a variety of organ size. This makes it easier to find a match of human recipient. That's why pig is selected. Concern associated with the extrapulmonary tuberculosis. Almost one out every five TB patients have the EPTB, extrapulmonary tuberculosis. EPTB refers to tuberculosis infection that occurs outside the lungs, affecting organs such as the lymph nodes, the brain, pulse, eye, and the others. That a troubling aspect of the EPTF infection is the prolonged presence of disease marker even after the infection is resolved with treatment. It can affect various organs, leading to irreversible damage if left untreated. The EPTP in the eyes can result in worsen loss for blindness. Challenges is estimating the burden of the that EPTB. Detecting extrapulmonary tuberculosis, it is difficult to detect through regular TB strains tests as it may not present with the corresponding lungs infection. This strain negative nature and the ability of the EPTB to initiate intimate other non-TB conditions make its prevalence difficult to detect. Lack of awareness among physicians and the advanced absence of accurate diagnostic and treatment criteria contribute to the challenge. Expert working in the soil because TB can affect different organs. The absence of proper protocol for doctor from the various fields to share information creates separate areas of expertise. This makes it difficult to collaborate effectively. Implementing the EPTB guidelines, experts from various health institutions, the WHO, the Coherence Infection Group made guidelines called the Index 23, Index TB for managing the EPTB in India. Unfortunately, this of efforts does not move forward, and there are still no diagnosis and treatment plan for all affected organs. Okay, so for the NISCA, the National Patient Management Portal for the TB control, do not have adequate data on the EPTB patient. The under-explained aspect of the EPTB uh, in fact informative aspect of the EPTB, such as how to infect spreads and how the TB bacterium interacts with the organs, are under explored right now. Coming to the question, while drawing element from a global constitution, how does the Constitution of India maintain its distinctiveness? Adopted on 23rd, 26th November 1949, the Constitution of India stands at the beacon of the country's socio-political aspiration. Though it assimilated features from various global institutions, it remained uniquely tailored to India's diverse public by weaving its specific articles. The framers ensured that the constitution restored deeply with the Indian ethos. Uh, Parliamentary system from the UK has okay. From UK, India's adoption of the British-style bicameral parliamentary system is evident in the formation of the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha as outlined in Article 79 and 112. It facilitates the separation of the power, check and balance, and a platform for diverse representation. Bill of Rights from the US, the American Constitutional Bill of Rights resonates deeply with fundamental rights. They act as the bulwark of individual liberties against potential state excesses, particularly the right to equality and the right to freedom. So, a directive principle from Ireland, borrowed from the Irish Constitution, the directive principle state policy, Article 366, 36 to 51, serves as a guideline for India's governance, though not legally enforceable. They reflect the nation's socio-economic aspiration, guiding policies and the legislation, and more of the DPSU are right now being implemented as the government is finding the financial availability as well as the requirement in the society. Federal system with unitary bias from the Canada, Article 244 to 255 encapsulates the distribution of power between the union and the states while fundamentally federal. This system exhibit a unitary bias during emergency, Article 332, 530, 352. Inspired by Canada, it allowed for an intense center. Concurrently from Australia, drawing from the Australian Constitution, this list details subjects where both the center and the state can legislate, facilitating cooperative federalism and ensuring that overlapping jurisdictions do not lead to legislative deadlocks. Procedure for amendment from South Africa. The Constitution's adoptability line Article 368, which prescribe its amendment process inspired by South Africa. It requires a two-third majority in Parliament for majority provisions, ensuring that any change reflects a substantial consensus. Because in case of constitutional amendment, a two-third majority required in the houses of the Parliament. That means it is so more consensus based than on merely majoritarian base. Okay, so concurrent list from the Australian, drawing from the Australian Constitution, this list details subject where both the centre and the state can legislate, facilitating cooperative federalism and ensuring that overlapping jurisdictions do not lead to legislative deadlock. Procedure for amendment of South Africa borrowed it, and this gives the most important dynamism to the Indian Constitution. Emergency provision from Germany, the Weimar Constitution of Germany significantly replaced the Indian Constitution's emergency provision. Article 352 to 360, 355 national emergency, 356 governance rule, president's rule, and 360 financial emergency. These provisions allow the state to suspend certain rights during crisis, ensuring stability and order. The Constitution of India maintains its distinctiveness in the following ways. So, how the Constitution is able to maintain its distinctiveness? So, incorporating of social economic rights, article such as Article 21A, ensuring a right to education, the 39A, emphasizing equal justice and free legal aid, underline India's commitment to socio-economic development, making the right disclosure holistic and grounded. Secularism, Article 25 to 28, rather than just ensuring the separation of religions from the state, Indian secularism enshrined in Article 25 to 28 ensure that all religions are treated with equal respect and dignity, reflecting India's millennia-old pluralistic ethos. Social justice, Article 15, which prohibits discrimination on ground of ground, and Article 17, which abolishes untouchability, are reflections of India's commitment to correct historical wrongs. It showcases the Constitution's resolve to build an inclusive society. Integrated judiciary, the unique integrated judiciary system running from Article 2, 125 to 147 ensure a seamless judicial mechanism. This unified structure handles both civil and criminal cases, ensuring that justice is dispensed without fragmentation and in a consistent manner. Language provision, reflecting India's linguistic diversity, the 8th schedule combined with Article 343 and 351 recognize 22 languages. It ensured that diverse linguistic groups have constitutional recognition, upholding India's commitment to its pluralistic heritage. Special status to certain religion, understanding the unique socio-political dynamics of certain religion. Provisions like Article 370 before its abrogation for Jammu Kashmir, Article 244 and 244A for central, northeastern, and tribal area offer special arrangement because these provisions have been added separately to make special provisions in the constitution. The Panchayat Raj System Article 243 to 243O in 73rd 74th Amendment institutionalized the age-old Panchayat Raj system and urban municipal body. These provisions strengthen local self-government in India, making democracy more participative and closer to the people. The Indian Constitution, while drawing inspiration globally, is intrinsically tied to the nation's socio-cultural framework. Those specific article, the framers articulated a vision that, although resonant with global democratic principle, remain distinctly India in the essence of the spirit. Then coming to the MCQ, consider the following statement about the attribution science. It uses tools and methodology to determine if climate change made an event more or less likely. That's right. The field is becoming crucial for understanding climate change impact. Here both 1 and 2 are correct. Consider the following events: failure of the GSP and navigation system, occurrence of tsunami at equatorial region, occurrence of aurora over much of the north, much of the earth, forest fire over much of the planet, interruption of shortwave radio communication, major solar storm reaches the earth. How many of these above effects are possible on the earth? So here, in case of all these happens, so except the two, all other is possible. Also, the following statement: extra pulmonary tuberculosis refers to tuberculosis infection that occurs outside the lungs. That's right. It accounts for 50% of the global TB burden. No, only one is correct. Which of the following will describe the definition of companies and regulators for participating in a regulatory sandbox? Companies and regulators receive benefit mostly in the form of tax exemption and financial incentive. No, the main advantage of company is the ability to permanently avoid any regulatory compliance, while regulators benefit from the reduced workers and oversight responsibility. No, business can test innovations in a controlled environment to gather data without the burden of regulatory compliance, while regulators gain insight into emerging technology to form future negotiations. 3 is correct. Consider the following statement: aura are produced through interaction between the Earth's magnetic field and the charged particle from the sun. The formation of the aura is enhanced by the increase in the Earth's atmospheric pressure. No. Center of Excellence in Space and Science is the only Indian institute that provides timely updates on space weather. Sunspots are area on the sun's surface that appear dark because they are hotter than the surrounding area. Aditya L1 satellite provides uninterrupted observation of the solar phenomena. So here 3 are correct. Consider the following statement about the international bullion exchange. The IIBX is solely focused on trading in the gold bullion. The IIBX is headquartered in Mumbai, the financial capital of India. So neither 1 nor 2 are correct here. Which of the following statement about the photon are true? Photon are fundamental particles that exhibit both wave-like and particle-like property. A is right. Which of the following statement about the genotransplantation is true? Genotransplantation refers to the transplantation organ on tissue within the same species. No. Genotransplantation is exclusively limited to human. No. Genotransplantation is a term used to describing the process of artificial organ generation in laboratory. No. Genotransplantation involves transplanting organ or tissue from one species to another, like from the pig to the human being. What does the K-link curve indicates? The K-link curve indicates fluctuations in atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration. D. Which one of the following organization the World Wildlife Crime Report? It is the International. No. UN Environment Program. No. UN Wildlife Fund. No. United Nations Fish and Drugs and Crime. D the right answer. Thank you for watching. Keep watching regular update yourself. Thank you.